Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal brand and business development company. I want to take you on a journey through another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand TV series, you will differentiate yourself from the competition and build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build confidence, and reflect who you are. Building your 5-star personal brand is a great way to improve your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh@5starbdm.com. Now, let's begin with our next episode on the Follow the Brand TV. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another fabulous week on the Follow the Brand TV series. Tonight, we're going to talk about a very popular subject in the world of the Metaverse and the world of marketing, and how these two things can come together to monetize, to actually create commerce, a buy, sell, trade type of phenomenon in a whole new platform onto the blockchain, into Web 3.0, when there are differences between Web 2.0 and Web 3.0 that are stark. Like, there's no search engine. How are we going to be able to work with all the logarithms, which there aren't any? And how do you drive traffic to your particular virtual world in a world that you don't have all these different setups that we're used to in a Web 2.0 design? So we're going to talk to Hahz Terry. His history goes all the way back to like 2006, 2007, when Web 2.0 was in its infancy. And he learned how to brand himself and to brand other companies at a very high level at a very early time in Web 2.0. They gave him a very big name in the industry. Now he completely understands the world of Web 3.0 and what it takes to be impactful, from augmented reality and virtual reality, and how to bridge those worlds. So we're going to bring Hahz up. We're going to have a great conversation with him and learn some things that we did not know about the metaverse and marketing. So can we have Hahz come up to the screen? I see parts of Hahz, but not all of Hahz. Hahz, you out there? I guess we're going to wait for Hahz to get completely set up. I do see that he's there, but he's not completely in the screen. So we'll move on from there. But I want our audience to completely understand that there's a huge difference in the Web 3.0 world. Web 3.0 works in the world of artificial intelligence in what they call a semantic type, or a type of awareness that is embedded into the Web 3.0 code infrastructure, or within the blockchain. It's going to make this completely a different world. It's almost a human to machine to human interaction from a line of intelligence that had not been there, that's not there now in the Web 2.0 world. So, for instance, when you're interacting in 2.0, really you might as well say it's 2D. It's two-dimensional. So what does that mean if it's two-dimensional? That means it doesn't have that complete immersive content, or that immersive feel, that immersive experience that we're looking for in a Web 3.0 world, or a virtual world construct, is what we're going to know as the metaverse, as a new iteration of this particular type of design or technology. If you have any experience with now the Oculus type VR headset, you'll see what I'm talking about because it'll actually project you into another world that is artificially created in which sight and sound are at such a fidelity, it's hard to discern what is real and what is not. Right now, it's still in its infancy, so you say, "Oh yeah, I know what's real, I know what's not." But it's still kind of cool to be interactive in almost a movie type setting. Think about this in 3 to 5 years when what this will look like. It's going to be at a whole different reality of how we can come forward as a human race and interact technologically in a completely new construct. So, with that all said, we got to start looking at where we're at now, what we put a lot of our investments into. A lot of people will say, hey, you know what? I've got my website, I've got my e commerce, I've got my social media, I've optimized it for mobile as well as desktop. And I think I'm doing pretty well. As far as where I'm at now, I've built up a community and I'm transacting. What is going to be the advantage of me going into Web 3.0 as opposed to Web 2.0? And I'll sum it up real quickly. Humans always change, they always evolve. Think about 10, 15, 20 years ago. You were utilizing, I think the first social media that came out that was really highly adopted was MySpace. Everybody's on MySpace. Hey, let's go to MySpace, which really got away from AOL chat, right? Everybody was in AOL American Online and they were chatting, they were creating some group, but it was very, read only, as they would say. It didn't have a lot, the end user interface wasn't that great. So then we went to MySpace. And when we got to MySpace, it was better because you could put your image on there, right? You can create new personas, and it was kind of cool to be able to interact in this kind of way. So you had this entire herd mentality that's now in MySpace, and then along comes Facebook. Now, why was that different? The reason why people moved from MySpace to Facebook was because it gave you a new user experience. The end user could be way more interactive than they could on MySpace in order to create groups and to have family and create profiles and then actually start to have businesses that were created because of the Facebook platform. You could never do that on MySpace. You could never do it. It wasn't built for that, right? Where Facebook changed the game. And then from Facebook, you had all these other social medias that were popping up. I've never seen a platform you have like 1 billion people interacting on Facebook, especially in this early adoption in this early phase. It was a game changer, right? It's completely game changer. The reason I bring that up, think about what I just said about how we evolved from MySpace to Facebook, and the reason why: better user experience. You could adopt the personal experience as well as the business experience onto one platform that you could never do in a MySpace world, right? And then comes along now this 3D virtual world experience on the heels of COVID, when people are starting to get used to interacting technologically with communication and interaction now in a 2D format, now goes to completely 3D. Like now, I could come out of my screen and we began to interact just like if I was right there in front of you, whether it's like a hologram, like maybe it's an augmented reality form, or it could be completely immersive in a virtual reality form. That is a different user experience, right? And I can't explain that any further. That this is what's going to happen. So that giant herd of humanity that is in 2.0 right now in many different social platforms, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or it's TikTok or it's LinkedIn or it's Reddit or any of these other types of interaction and social interaction to now to go to a more immersive format in the form of Web 3.0 and the blockchain and in the metaverse. Is it completely a differentiated experience right now? No, it isn't. But it will be. The one thing I would say, because I was born in that time and before the internet became very good, is that when the internet first started coming out, and we started having websites for the first time and they really started to dabble in e-commerce, it was very clunky. Nobody wanted to give their credit card into a computer that could go anywhere. Why would you do that? The security wasn't there. It took a few years before it's got widely adopted, and the industry of itself had to go through that birthing phase, and it had to go through that speculation phase, which caused the dot-com boom. And then, of course, then it caused the dot-com bust, right? It was a complete bust. A lot of people remember that. It was an economic meltdown. Here's what I want you to remember. The tech was solid. There was nothing wrong with the technology. There's a lot of things wrong with the humanity and how they wanted to monetize in this fashion. That was the problem. That was the problem. So we're going to ask Hahz to come back up after I've kind of set the platform. Bring him back up. Let's have this in-depth discussion on how this technology is evolving and how you're going to have to change the game and how you're doing things to take advantage of. So, Hahz Terry, are you back out there? I'm making an assumption that he's still not completely ready. Why don't we do this? We're going to go to a quick break. Let's play a quick commercial, and then we'll bring Hahz back. Mission Possible with Nubia Media by 5-Star BDM. Our mission is to engage engineers, mentors, and other educational resources to enhance our students. Transform with hands-on education that inspires. Create new STEM career paths. Learn cutting-edge science experiences. Lead with a passion for science and math. Tap into the power of collaboration. Explore innovations in STEM learning and teaching by promoting the exchange of ideas among mentors and educators across professions and disciplines. Inspire a passion for science and math in the minds of young engineers of tomorrow by increasing knowledge and interest in science at the elementary school level. Meet the needs of today's student.
So doing that, those types of community technology adoption, that's going to create a workforce. The need is going to educate the Black businesses. It's going to generate opportunities for disenfranchised technologists like me. And it's going to give us a platform to reset our environment.
Visit us online at 5-Star BDM. All right. Thank you for turning back in. We're going to see if Mr. Hahz is ready. We're going to bring him up so we can get this conversation going, because I'm very interested in knowing how we are going to monetize differently in the metaverse with our marketing. I've heard that you've got to start at the same time. You got to start looking at this from the finance perspective and the marketing perspective at the very same time. Whereas before, you might think about it even in an opposite direction. Sometimes people think of marketing at the end instead of really at the beginning. And you really should think about it at the beginning and see exactly what you're going to do to move things forward from a strategic standpoint. But thinking about Web 3.0 these days, it's almost like it's a chasm between the two worlds. I'm almost thinking there should be a 2.5 here ready, because there's got to be a ramping point up to 3.0. People have got to have that understanding, because it can be difficult to do that. So we're going to still work with Hahz on his camera, but when he's ready, he'll just pop back in. If anyone has any questions, you can interact with us depending on if you're on the YouTube or you're on LinkedIn or you on the Facebook or you're in Roku. You can actually type in a question that you might have around this, because as a business owner myself, having an investment in my 2.0 infrastructure, I'm wondering, am I going to have to throw this all out in order to go to 3.0? Or do you work the both worlds simultaneously? And then are they completely interactive to a certain degree, because they're different protocols and different, I would say languages to a certain degree on how these things actually work. Like a website is on HTML. Well, that's not the same protocol that you're going to find in Web 3.0. You're working with, depending on, again, on the immersion that you have, you could possibly be working on a blockchain type application. You can also be working with, NFTs. What does that look like? Which are non-fungible tokens as a form of payment or a form of access. How does that look and feel? You're also looking at different applications like on Unity or also on blockchain, excuse me, Unreal Engine. So Unity and Unreal Engine are the two main building blocks, how you create these three-dimensional experiences. And they can be pretty pricey. You think of a website and what it would cost to build out. Think about a three-dimensional world with a lot of interaction, a lot of moving dynamics. What does that cost to build out, like a city or even a store for that matter? What is the cost of doing that? And then again, I'm going to go back to what I even said earlier. What is the adoption rate? Why would people want to do that? I've been using the Oculus, headset, the new Rift, right? And I liked it when it first came in. It was more of a novelty, and I'm using that Oculus Rift, and I'm going to different places, and I'm trying to find out how I can interact a little bit better. So I go to Outspace, and yes, I can walk around, and I hear people talking in the distance, which is different in a more of a cartoon type world. The first one I went to was called the fireside chat, right? You go out there and it's a fire, and people are just kind of milling around the campfire, figuring out, what they wanted to, how they wanted to interact and have conversations about. And then you can begin to experiment with the technology. You can learn how to walk, you can move your hands, but you can also fly. And that was different. So they give you instructions as you're walking through there how to fly. You're flying, you learn how to mute yourself. You start to learn these new mechanical things that are, and you remember, you're in, in your living room. And you create a little boundary in a circle, and you're kind of walking around that boundary, that circle, just like a Wii. Remember the WII, the Wii back in the day? And you have something like that as a setup, and you have these joysticks. But these are your controls, how you're walking around this imaginary world that's very, very real in that virtual world. And you're having conversations, and you're finding new ways to interact. And you're starting to say, wow, I can change my environment from one thing to another. And this is getting, very episodic. So there are different episodes that you can engage in that are interesting to you. We want to talk about those interests. What are your interests? And that is why when you think about Web 2.0 to Web 3.0, you got to think of it, what's your interest? Your interest will then guide you to communities. And then when you're in those communities, you want to then be able to build commerce, like different businesses that'll help that community to grow, to expand, to actually evolve and do things that they cannot do. Remember, you cannot do in a two-dimensional construct. I think that's very, very important once you understand how this all works. So, Hahz, I've been holding on the conversation, trying to get this thing, trying to, the interest rate on what we want to talk about from a Web 2 to Web 3.0. You like to introduce yourself? Oh, I think he's still there. There he is. There he is. There he is. Yeah, we see you. You're there. You have your mute. I can't hear you right now. You see your mute button? Make sure you're not on mute. Are you there? I think he's having some technical difficulties. So we'll wait for him to work that out, and then we'll bring him up when he's ready. So we'll talk just a little bit more. These are my thoughts about what's coming, and so the big thing I would do, I would advise my audience is to a couple of different things when it comes to this new technology. Number one, be patient. Take your time. Understand, yes, there's a big wow factor to this. There's some things that are very, very interesting. That whole FOMO, the FOMO, fear of missing out. I wouldn't worry about that. I wouldn't worry about that. Is not going to go away anytime soon. But when you're ready to invest, you want to do it fully conscious of what you're engaging in, and ready to engage from remember, a community standpoint, right? And then an interest standpoint. And make sure that those two things are very key in your strategy and how you're going to move things forward. I think that's very, very important. Hahz, do we have sound with you? I see Hahz, but I don't know if we have him fully on audio. This is interesting. So just going back to what I was saying earlier, that we've got to get to a point where we just step back, and get the understanding first. I would certainly advise on being strategic and understanding before you go into full development. Most people don't understand this, but I do, because I work in the technology field, and I've worked in the technology field for 20 to 25 years, is that a lot of projects fail. Yeah. A lot of high-end, high-moving, complex projects fail. And there's reasons why. And I'll tell you the number one reason why probably doesn't have a lot to do with the technology, but it has a lot to do with the adoption of that technology for what it was intended to do. Case in point, if you have a certain workflow in a business or enterprise that has done things a certain way for a number of different years, and you introduce change, and by introducing that change, you did not involve the people that work in that workflow on a day-to-day basis, and you basically said, we're changing what you're doing, and here you go. That is how you start to have a lot of pushback, and there's not a lot of enthusiasm around this newness, and people begin to try to walk away, even though they might be tied to it economically. Their heart is not into it, and because their heart is not into it, over time the deployment fails. This happens time and time again in a lot of different enterprise type IT projects that had good intentions, but had poor deployment. And how do you avoid that? I have found that if you train the right individuals and bring them in as stakeholders for the project, you will get a higher adoption rate. So as we go into this Web 3.0 world, and as we start building out these virtual worlds, I want people to say, you know what, let's do some pilots. Let's see how people are going to react to this newness, and is it something that they feel that it's adoptive? Meaning not only are they utilizing the technology, but they're bringing their friends in. Say, hey, you got to check this out. Check out this new app that's I got it. It's a 3D app, that you can interact with either on your desktop, mobile, or you can get more immersive with your virtual desktop. I think that would be great. So think about all those things before you start to go full forward into a complete technological change. I see Hahz is back. Hahz, we got, I think you're still on mute. There you go. Hahz, can you hear me? So we've got a technological difficulty with Hahz. We're going to go to break right now and come up with some commercials, and then we'll be right back. Thank you very much.
I started Gateway Healthcare Solutions to help medical facilities to improve their financial performance. GHS has a healthcare denial prevention strategist practice designed to improve healthcare financial services, offering denial management and business development with a strategic approach of mechanisms for hospitals, clinics, and providers on how to maximize payer contractual agreements.
We are a growing firm with a demonstrated record of success with our client projects by leveraging our wide-ranging skills and expertise to assist with delivering high-quality services such as denial management, revenue cycle management, strategy consulting, management training, medical software, and contract management. Our approach offers an analysis of your current state coupled with a proven solution and execute with a process improvement strategy and implementation methodology for our clients.
GSS develops an understanding of its customers' problems by identifying, assessing, and tailoring the services to suit the business needs. Selecting the right healthcare solutions advisor can bring you the management services you need and peace of mind you deserve.
Call us today for a free consultation.
Five-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.fivestarbdm.com today to learn more.
There we are. Hahz Terry. No worries. These things happen. That's what we're talking about. Technology is a great thing when it works. So introduce yourself, Hahz.
And my name is Hahz Terry, the Wizard of Hahz, CEO of Love NFT, Black Love org, with my wife.
Oh, that's awesome. And I know you've been doing, I told a story about how you got involved with web design, how you got involved with social media, how you got involved with the, Web 2.0 from at an early age. Talk to walk us through that story, how you got started and kind of where you're at now.
Yeah, great question. My internet career started in 2000, late 2006, 2007, when I started an event nightlife site in Atlanta, actually, and it just took off. I looked at it like, what can I do that was recession proof at the time. I had a failed home care company, and I wanted to transition into something more stable. And I felt like the internet was the most stable business opportunity at the time. And the event site was the first event site to host flyers, video, pictures, blog. I combined everything into one to create a site that I would want to be on. And it ended up amassing 6 million followers a month, 70,000 uniques. I've met people around the world who were familiar with it, and it was ahead of its time. And I always tell the story of when I told local promoters and event venues about my analytics and about how much unique traffic it was getting. It was like I was talking another language. They didn't understand the metrics, and they didn't understand the power of those numbers. So I ended up selling it full circle. 15 years, 20 years later, I got an event Metaverse website. So it's full circle. History repeating itself.
Well, tell it, help us understand that bridge. You understand Web 2.0 very, very well. And, I'm glad you told that story because how you started to build community through Web 2.0, understanding analytics. In this Web 3.0 world, it's different. Explain the difference between Web 2.0 and 3.0 from your lens.
That's probably the question of the year. Um, Ideally, I think if I had to sum it up in 2 words, Web 2, your data is sold by companies. Web 3, you sell your own data. If that was the napkin in the elevator explanation, but ultimately, you have more rights and you have freedom as a creator. That's the most important element. On Web 2, you're told what your creations are worth. So, for example, as a former famous photographer, I was told how much my pictures were worth, no matter who was on it, no matter who I took a picture of. Outside TMZ, that was paying the highest for a picture, up to $20,000. That was the only way to really monetize your photos as a photographer. And I tell everybody photos were the first NFTs. A photographer took every picture as an NFT. So, you're in a market like a painter or artist where you're told by the person who wants to buy it off you how much it's worth. So they devalue the value of your pictures because they want to make money off of it. So that's a broken system where you have a ceiling, like Kanye said on the Sway Show. You have a ceiling, and that ceiling no longer exists on Web 3. So your NFT on Web 3, those 30,000 pictures that I have stored that are never sold to nobody, if I put those on blockchain and I sell them as NFTs, I now can get the maximum amount of money for my pictures. So that's a good explanation using the analogy that people are familiar with.
What I heard there was the economics change, and that's exactly what's happening now. Think about it. If the social media companies right now all of a sudden weren't getting the data from their users, what would they be worth?
Yeah. And it's funny you say that because there's a model that you can see how much every user is worth on each platform. And I think it's like roughly like $15 a person, or there's an actual number associated with every user. And, we upload content that's original on these platforms, which they can be used as NFTs in comparison to Web3. And Facebook and Meta was smart about switching his name and getting on blockchain because that's the future of social media, but they take 30% of your NFT sales. So Love NFT takes 3%. So you have to understand the difference of the two, that they're forcing users onto their metaverse and onto their NFT platform because they know once the world wakes up and sees that they're taking 30% of the profit, Apple's taking 30% of the profit, but then you have companies in blockchain that are only taking 3, like Love NFT. Who are you going to sell your NFT marketplace, or who are you going to sell your NFTs with at that point when you have those type of options?
What I'm hearing there is who has the community. I talked about earlier about MySpace. When they first came out, they had a large part of the social media community because they were new. Facebook came out and they had a better user interface, and that community moved to Facebook. I would say Meta is banking that the community would move to Meta. And what you're saying is because the economics, once you understand this from an economic lens, the fintech lens, understanding now that your data is valuable, why are you going to give away 30% of your value when you can get, work with someone else for a much less percentage, as long as you have, again, the community to support it? Does that make sense?
Perfect sense. So even taking it a step further, if you're unemployed and you're uploading one-of-one content to Web2 social media, you could be monetizing that. And that's the future of work. That's the future of our economy, is being able to monetize your unique data in a way where you can profit from it. So now that becomes your career. So now you no longer need to become dependent on somebody paying you because you're creating unique content that can be monetized. So it's just about education at this point. And ideally, we're in the 80s of the internet era, where there's all this great technology that's kind of came out of the blue. So it's about who explains it the best at this point. You know what I mean? You got Apple that simplified it, made it real simple to understand, and you have Microsoft that made it complex. And you had a path, which one you want to go with at that point, and Apple won that race. But with all that said, this is where we're at now in this bear market on Web3. And this is about who explains it in a way where it resonates with the masses. And that's who's going to win this Web3 race.
Let's talk about what you're doing. Because here's the deal. You're going to move from Web 2.0. You're going to move community over to Web 3.0. Given the story, the messaging, the marketing has to be right. And people need to understand why they would want to interact in your virtual world as opposed to someone else. You have a platform. It's called, I think it's advertise.com. Explain to us exactly what that does.
So it's similar to Meta in a way where you can operate and build your own world. You can live in that world. And it has the functionality of AR, VR, and NFTs. And they all kind of work. They all work with each other in a way where AR is used ideally for marketing. So you can market your business, your meta business is what we refer to it, on Web2 social media with the AR filter for your event, which is the VR element of it. So your event is where you can enter a room, a metaverse room without VR glasses, and interact with people and chat with people. And it's the next level of social media. And this is what Facebook recognized, that once you access this room or once you access this type of metaverse, it makes it hard to go back to Web 2, where you're posted a picture, then you're waiting hours for somebody to comment on your picture. Then you got to wait another day probably till the algorithm picks it up. So in comparison to that, you have a metaverse where you see people from a player one perspective. And, me and you interact and we chat with each other in real time. And then you walk over to somebody else and you see them in real time and you chat with them through their avatar. And taking this a step further, if we were to conduct business in the metaverse, we can do that by being logged into the event by crypto. and we can exchange NFTs in this metaverse. This is the missing element where people don't see how you can conduct your business and network and sell products backed by NFT merch, is what I refer to it as, backed by your products and services in this metaverse. So this totally removes the middleman, and it allows us to interact with each other directly in a way where we can conduct business the same way we would on Web 2 with no middleman fees. So this is an important aspect of what the masses don't really understand is, how does this benefit me today? And that's what ARVRTISE.com explains. All the elements that you need, a one-stop shop for Metaverse, is on that website. And we work with brands to help them onboard to Metaverse and help them understand it, to throw a corporate event, which gives back to the attendants or attendees of the event in a way where it could be NFT airdrop. It could be a numerous amount of NFT merch given away during the event. But we want to create a vehicle where, one, we educate the masses about the new way to market, and two, create an economy where it gives back directly to the people. And then everybody at the event can see, oh, this person received the NFT. Oh, this person received this in real time. So now it becomes real because there's no current bridge where Web 2 is seeing what's happening on Web 3. You either living in one space or the other, and there's all this activity in Web 3 that somebody on TikTok has never even seen before. Mm-hmm. So we want to create something and help people understand this new way to monetize in this new virtual reality.
So let's simplify that, because we're talking about ease of use. What I heard there is where you make, or you could make, a video. And I'm going to pick on TikTok for a minute, because you go to TikTok, you're going to see somebody make some silly video because it's funny, it's comical. There's nothing wrong with that. It's comic, it's comics, right? But you put that out there, you get nothing for it. TikTok, in other words, they're hey, we have the community, because now we're going to charge advertisers money, for that content that you made for free. So you're giving them something for free, in which they're going to turn around and monetize.
Yeah.
Right?
So let's break that down even further. When you sign the consent form for those platforms, you agree to sell your content, to give your content that you upload. So me as a photographer, if I go out and I take this one-of-one video that nobody in the world has, I upload it to TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. I give them a consent to own that video. And then they, in return, can go to an advertiser and monetize that video and get money from that video first, and then pay me the 70% difference once they get their cut. So that video is no longer yours. So you have to understand that you're giving away free content that they're monetizing and then giving you a piece of it. So before you upload any video content to Web 2, you have to tokenize it as an NFT first to own it. Then you're on Web 2 promoting your content that you own. Then in the event of it going viral, you can profit from it because you can sell it directly. So this prevents people from stealing your dance moves or cloning whatever you create, your unique creation that goes viral. You have ownership of that. And there's memes from 5 years ago that we all use that have sold as an NFT for over 6 figures. So you have to recognize there's a whole economy going on Web3, and it all starts with being creative, and it all starts with your imagination, and it all starts with you earning royalties for what you're worth for the remaining of your lifetime. To your kids can earn royalties through your NFT collections. So that's important to understand.
Important. What you just said there is that instead of a one-off, right? Hey, let's say you got a great photograph, you sold it, and you got that one check, and that was it. You're saying now that you can get check after check after check. Every time that NFT is bought, sold, no matter where it is, you have an embedded smart contract within it that goes along with that. And because it's on the blockchain, you're automatically, you don't have to go cut them down or anything like that. You just start to see the cha-ching.
Right. So, there's a lot of platforms that are, I think like Fanbase, or there's a series of of apps that are giving you creators a little bit more than what the previous one gave, but it's still middleman and it's still giving you a piece of what you created, ultimately, and they're still profiting on the back end with the data. So you have to understand that we as a nonprofit, we wanted to remove that fear of, you know, what you just said, smart contracts not being paid out to people. Ideally nowadays you can work on blockchain, let's say a movie company, everybody involved in the movie project can be embedded on the smart contract. So every time that movie sells on the secondary market for the next 100 years, all those 5 people who started that movie or created that movie will be paid out until they sell that NFT, until they sell their rights to somebody else. Then they earn the royalties. So this is the simplicity of blockchain, and this is the security of ensuring that everybody in the project is paid. So, that's what we have to educate the masses about. This is a new economy where you benefit ultimately. And a lot of people are waiting for companies to teach them, traditional rollout of a PayPal or a Cash App. That's not going to happen because this is your financial freedom. Nobody's going to teach you how to become financial free when they can't profit off of it. So this is the big disconnect of why, people are sitting on the sidelines and they're like, well, I'm waiting for my favorite project to get on board and teach me how to, teach me Web3 and blockchain. It's not going to happen. This is self-educated class. We're used to and conditioned to a school system or a system that teaches you something because they're going to profit off of it ultimately. And that's not going to happen in a way that we saw in the past. And everybody thus far who's learned blockchain has learned from self-education, so you have to take it upon yourself to learn. And then once you learn, you profit.
And you got to learn from the right people. You can teach
Correct.
yourself to a certain degree, but definitely get to a point where you're aware and get the basic fundamentals so you understand before you make those moves that you're making very solid moves, and then how this is going to all work and benefit you. Now, let me ask you this. And you're in Web 3.0. I'm just curious about, let's say you put up some content, just like you did in Web 2.0. How are you driving traffic to your particular endeavor? How does that work?
Great question. There's no traditional Google search on Web3. So one of the examples of a VR event is where you can have your NFTs on a gallery on the wall for your event, let's say, and then everybody in the venue can click on your artwork on the wall and buy the NFT during the event. So that's called NFT merch. So this removes the barrier of where do I find my NFTs, or how do people, or the question that you just asked. It simplifies everything in a way where everything is direct. You're logged in through your crypto wallet, which is how you pay for everything in the metaverse. And in the event of you buying something from that event, it's going directly to your wallet. So there's no, middleman processing fees. There's no middleman platforms. Everything is peer to peer.
But how do you get the awareness? How do you know about the event in the first place?
Well, that starts with the AR campaign on social media. So if you can imagine, one of our filters called Ghosting on TikTok. It did 5,000 people created videos from it worldwide. And that was in 2 weeks. And that was with no marketing, no promo. We put it up, we created it and put it up on TikTok, and it went viral like that. So that's just an example of what we do in the form of marketing your event in a way of a AR filter or a branded filter. Everybody in the world can access it. Then if it has anything to do with your venue, then you have 5,000 people potentially that want to attend your venue because they've tried your AR filter. So this is kind of the marketing strategy that ARVRTISE.com has created as a blueprint, because AR filter is the next wave of the internet. It's ideally a world built on top of a world.
Right.
And with that said,
Augmented reality.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
And that's the AR flyer to the event. And then once you get to the event, you can win NFTs, you can purchase NFTs, you can trade NFTs within the event. So this completes the trifecta of all the elements needed to market your business in the metaverse.
So you're going from like we're in the physical plane. Now you go to that digital world. You're still utilizing social media platforms, depending on where it's at, and then you have those ramps to your Web 3.0 world. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, correct. And the thing with Web3 in comparison to Web2 is you have to find all the websites on Web3 because you can't search, as I mentioned earlier. So we want to collaborate and put everything in one stop. So you don't have to reach out or find an AR company for your event, or you don't have to reach out and find an NFT company for your event and then find out how they work with the metaverse. Outside of Decentraland, this is the only closest thing, but we're focusing on events first to usher people into the metaverse and on an affordable level in comparison to what's out there. And we want to work with companies we have 0 employees. So we want to work with companies to give the money back from the marketing campaign directly to our tribe. So in an event of, let's say, working with Dunkin' Donuts, they say, hey, this is the campaign that we want to create. We in return create a challenge for our tribe. So whoever can create the best marketing strategy or best reel for this marketing campaign, you're going to win this prize. So this is how we give back to our community in a transparent way. And we allow creators to create, because on Web 2, there was a boardroom and there was 6 people who made a marketing decision. And then everybody sat and wait to see if that was a success. So this has changed tremendously since TikTok and Instagram, because now the community, the tribe, dictates what's cool, and they dictate what the marketing campaign is, and you allow them the freedom to do that. And then in return, the winner of that contest, a challenge, we tokenize their video content as an NFT, which allows them to sell it. So this totally changes the marketing aspect of how we market it on Web 2, and it allows people to see and onboard to Web 3 in a way where they're familiar with challenges and social media.
You got to be creative. I heard a couple of things. You can first educate yourself on this new tech. This is a game changer. You're going to have to then understand community and how to monetize that as much as you can, and be creative. And that's that secret sauce, is your creativity. And this is what I love, this aspect of it, because I feel our world will go into a renaissance of creativity instead of just analytics. What I heard you say earlier, you were successful early in Web 2.0 because of analytics. Now you'll be successful because of your creativity. Does that make
Yeah, and if you think about this on a deeper level, developers are doing this with hackathons. They're doing this with bounties. Ideally, you have a company that creates a prize pool, and they say, this is what we want. And then the winner of that bounty receives that prize pool, right? We're doing that same way with digital marketing. So we work with a company, they tell us the prize pool or the marketing budget, and in return, we pass those costs on to our community as a challenge. And then we allow them to dictate who's the winner. You can vote on who's the winner, who created the best marketing video reel, and then we give them the prize. So this allows us to vote. This allows us to feel like we're part of something bigger than us. In a way, we've been doing this for free on Web 2. So now we're able to monetize that, and everybody wins.
Everybody wins. So let us know where the website is. We're going to come to our conclusion. So how to get to your website, how to contact Hahz Terry so they can learn more.
Its website is arvrtise.com. Arvrtise, ARVR-TISE. And you can reach me on LinkedIn, name right there, HAHZ TERRY. I love answering questions. So if you have any questions or comments from this video, I'm here to answer.
Well, I'm sure you will. You've been helping me on my understanding. You've been helping me on my new website launch. That will be coming out here shortly. So when you go to 5-star BDM, and that is B for brand, D for development, informasters.com, probably in a day or so, you're going to see a dramatic change in how I'm preparing myself for this new change in technology. So thank you very much for being on Follow the Brand, and we will see you at a later date. Thank you very much, Hahz.
All right, peace.
Hey everyone, it's Grant McGaw, CEO of 5-Star BDM and host of the award-winning Follow the Brand podcast and TV series, where I help you to build a 5-star brand that people will follow. My genius is personal brand development through intelligent communication and helping you achieve your business and career goals. I am a requested speaker on digital technology and brand development issues. I want to work with you to increase the value of your current opportunities while attracting new ones. Every one of you is unique, and we all share challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. As a super connector, I work with you as an executive coach to guide you along the complicated business and career development road, providing the enhancement tools and information you need to succeed. Together, I will help you succeed in today's challenging business climate. I will evaluate and measure your progress. Best of all, I am right alongside you every step of the way. Build the brand called you. Genius is coming.
Follow the Brand TV broadcast host, Grant McGaw, as he visits with top executives and entrepreneurs to find out their secrets of success with their personal brand. Follow the Brand TV broadcast host as he focuses on brand development to build better relationships, bring value to your business, relationships, and career. You will enjoy listening to each episode that is tailored to speak to you directly. If you're looking for this type of clarity in terms of building your brand, you have tuned into the right station. Each episode will help you to shape a conversation in the 5-Star BDM network of 20,000 professionals and become a springboard for your corporate engagement and business opportunities. Each guest will frame their story in the areas of personal branding, business development, career development, financial empowerment, and technology innovation. Grant McGaw explains why he is the CEO and owner of his own professional career. Grant is an accomplished business leader and entrepreneur who wants to give back to individuals to grow their personal brand strategy. Tune in as he weaves his story about new possibilities, while to you exceed expectations. If you love storytelling, this show will make for fun.